Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel on human design. Today I want to focus in on the theme of recognition. Now, anyone who knows much about human design, or even a little bit about human design, will tie recognition to the projector type. But it's also very important to understand that there are more projector channels in the body graph than any other type. What does that tell us? It tells us that you need to recognize what that energy is in you. You have to recognize it. So, for example, if you have the 1949, a question to ask yourself is, are your needs being met? Are you in right relationship to other people? Are you sensitive to the other and sensitive to yourself or not? It's something to recognize in each one of us that has a projector channel, what it is that we need to recognize in ourselves. So, for example, in my own case, I have the channel of struggle. So I'm here to recognize whether something is really of purpose to me or not. Otherwise, I end up fighting about things that really don't matter and cause myself all kinds of problems, which I have done in the past in my growing up period. I have the alpha channel. I'm here to recognize that I'm here to lead myself in a positive direction for the future, to the best of my ability, and also to lead others in a better future, providing I fit it to whatever they are, which is wonderful. The wonderful thing about human design is that you can see in others what is there. So it's a very good tool to guide, to be able to recognize what is in the other. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Beaumont. I've been in human design for more than 25 years, 20 of those teaching professional analysts. And part of my outreach program has been to create a report that has all of the gates in the human design system described in different ways, depending on whether they're in an open or a fixed center, whether they're red or whether they're black. It was an enormous task to consider each of the 64 gates in 4 very, very different ways. But in doing so, it gets me to recognize what is in the other. The quality of the way they speak, the way they move, what turns them on, what turns them off, whether their energy is moving in this way or that way, whether they have this awareness or that awareness. And it's a great joy for me, knowing human design, to see that in the other. You know, there I am listening to a 4816, channel of the wavelength, and they're describing something to me. They're bringing me onto their wavelength in a way that I can't do with others. It's their skill to be able to do that. And I can enjoy it. I can enjoy them making this point and then leading to this point and going back and re-describing it if I haven't quite grasped it. You know, it's a wonderful thing to see in the other what is a projector channel, to recognize that in the other. And at some level or another, wherever we have projector channels, we need to be recognized for having that from the other, and how that makes us feel, and how that makes us own ourselves even more. So recognition is a very important theme in human design, and it's an important theme in you coming to know who you are, to see what are the projector channels in you. What do you need to see and recognize in yourself because of that? And what do others notice in you that then gives you the feeling of rightness? I mean, let's face it, all projectors at some level or another, they want to get their gold stars, you know, they want to be recognized for what's in them. When you're talking about projectors, projectors get to wake up by seeing themselves in the other. They have this focus and absorbing and penetrating aura that goes into the other. And then they find themselves. And then they see the mirror of themselves in the other, and something opens up in them. to see what is truly them, to recognize it in themselves. Another way of looking at the theme of recognition is to see it in terms of the companionship channels. This is where you have a channel and someone you're talking to or you're with also has the same channel. And you get to recognize yourself in them. I mean, you don't have to be a projector for that. It's something that just happens. As I described, I'm a struggler. I'm here to struggle for purpose. I'm here to fight for purpose in my life. Well, when I see someone else fighting for purpose and I can see the struggle in them, I get it. I really get it. I'm not going to interfere with their struggle. That's their struggle. They need to enjoy it. They need to get their teeth into something, just as I do in me. So the recognition in companionship channels, there is a familiarity. There is a confirming quality in the awareness of the recognition of what you have in you from seeing it in the other. When I see other alphas lead in the way that they do, I usually learn from them. My experience thus far, after 25 years or more, is basically been to recognize the alphas, to see the way they are operating, to learn from them, to talk to them, to add to the way that they do it from my own experience. In my local area, I'm pleased to say there are a couple of alphas that I've done readings for that are going to come and live in this area. It's very interesting to see what will happen. I think this is a time when leadership is strongly needed. And when I see alphas gathering together, I go, okay, I recognize there's something going on here. I want to be a part of that. So it's also fun. It's also fun. I mean, human design is fun. Let's face it. You can see that in me. It's a lot of fun. And this is another way of looking at it. Your ability to recognize what is in the other opens you up to a greater connection with the other, because you're not fighting with them. You know in the way that they describe things, that is their way to describe things. It may not be your style, but you can recognize that's it. So, for example, when we have the 1762, they're going to speak in a logical way. They're going to have the details there. They're going to make their point. They're going to argue with you if you disagree with them. Great. That's what they're here to do. I love to see it. A lot of them are worth listening to. It's not in me, but I can recognize it's in them, and I can pay attention if it's of interest to me, and I'll get the point, and they would have taught me something. How wonderful is that? It's so much more to one's life when you see what the other is. It's so much more for you to experience in life when you see yourself in the other. Because after all, we are all part of the same thing. We are all one. We're held together in the illusion of our separateness, but we are all aspects of the same thing. There is a mystery in recognition. There is a wake up in recognition that comes instantly for each one of us in many different ways. Something to consider. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you have, please like and share and subscribe. And I shall be back very soon with something completely different. Okay, bye for now.